Okay, we're about ready to begin with our first speaker of the day, and we're beginning the program, and what a way to kick off the program with Patricia Scott. And let me tell you just a little bit. First of all, some of you have seen on the program that Melissa Roth was scheduled to do this section. She's had some family difficulties and challenges that really have kept her away from us today. She had no choice but to cancel out at the last minute. She's really sorry that she couldn't be with you, and Patty volunteered to step up and to do this. So we're really pleased that she's with us, and you'll see by her credentials just exactly why she's the right person for the job. Patricia Scott is a board-certified medical hypnotherapist and a registered hypnotic anesthesiologist in private practice since 1992. She's a certified master trainer with the International Association of Counselors and Therapists, and she's a life fellow with the International Medical and Dental Hypnotherapy Association. She developed a medical hypnotherapy specialty certification, which was approved through IMDHA in 2015. She's president of the UP Hypnosis Institute in Tampa Bay, Florida, where she teaches hypnosis and NLP certification and continuing education, as well as classes for the general public. And prior to 1992, you might not know this about her, Patty had an impressive 20-year career as a professional singer, actor, dancer, and songwriter, published songwriter, I might add. And by the way, there's one other thing that she doesn't ever put on her biography, and I love to tell people, is that she also had a career in rocket science. So, so I think that's really important when you're looking for somebody that's brilliant and has some wonderful information to share with us. So thank you so much for being here with us, Patty. And let me just let everybody know, too, that you provided us with a wealth of handouts and great material. We're sorry, those of you at home, that you didn't get this in your package just yet, but it will be included in the flash drive. And in fact, I'm going to send those things out to you all. I'll try to do it tonight. It'll either happen tonight or tomorrow, so watch for that in your email as well. So, hello, Patty, and welcome. Good morning.
Is it morning? Oh, yes. For some of us, it's morning. Hello, everybody. It's wonderful to be here. And boy, what a lead in, Michael, talking about rocket science. Well, I do live in space a lot of the time. I'll say that about myself. That might be the extent of my rocket science knowledge there. First of all, I just wanted to send out my good thoughts and well wishes to Melissa. I've known her for many years. I'm not sure what her circumstances are that didn't allow her to be here, but I just wanted to send that out right at the beginning here to let her know we're all thinking about her and hope everything's okay. And it's certainly an honor and a privilege for me to be here. It's kind of an early birthday present. My birthday's in a couple of weeks here, so this was my early birthday present. Surprise! So it truly is an honor to be here. I see some names that I recognize already on the list of people that are here, and I hear there's going to be a lot more people joining us. And some people that are here I already know are quite seasoned and have been, in this field for a long time. And it occurred to me as I was preparing for this that I'm not sure, what extent of experience or training some of the people may be very beginners in this field. Some may have been in it a long time and be, like I call myself, well seasoned. And yet I am a lifetime student. Actually, I had signed up for this for this Galaxy of Stars the day before they called me to let me know that my services might be needed on the other side. So I am always taking more training, and I encourage everyone, of course, to do that as well, from as many trainers as you can. And even the same trainers, when you get with them through time, change, obviously, hopefully evolve. Hopefully I have evolved over my 28 almost years. In February, it'll be 28 years that I'm officially in hypnotherapy as a career that I didn't know was going to be a career at first. That may have been the case for some of you too, because I had literally been using it for at least 20 years before that. And for some of you that know me, I had a back injury at age 19 that I magically somehow inside of myself had some intelligence that told me I would be able to do things the doctor said I would never be able to do. And I wasn't sure where that came from, but I had learned somehow at an early age to listen to those instincts, that inner intelligence inside of me. And somehow I took a different direction from the one the doctor wanted me to go down, which would have included major surgeries and who knows what after that. and a lot of limitations, according to what he was saying. And something told me to go in a different direction. And for the next 20 years, and then almost 28 years now in the field, I've been searching for where did that intelligence come from? And I realized it's inside of us. It's inside of the cells in the body. We really have a miraculous organism that guides us if we will only listen. So part of this is going to be just real basic about what is it about this amazing field that we are in, and what are the advantages over traditional, I'll call it, medicine that as it's being practiced today. Obviously, medicine has changed through the centuries quite a bit. And I wanted to start out just with a little quote here to kind of bring it into perspective, how time does change and sometimes time doesn't change. And this quote is, some of you may know who this is, so see who knows who said this. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What we think, we become. And I'm sure a lot of you know who that was that said that. It was Buddha. And that was, he was around from 563 to 483 BC. So that was a while back. And it sounds a lot like things that I heard when I first got into the field out in California. I used to hear Robert Otto running up and down the aisles saying, we move in the direction of our dominant thought. And I thought, wow, that was like a branding iron that jumped in my head. And it really made sense to me. So, you know, when you hear something that resonates throughout that intelligence in your cells, there's a certain feeling that happens inside that is a little bit different, I think, than just when you start to believe something that someone tells you or shows you or introduces to you. It's a little different than learning something. It's an absolute knowing, like the one that I got when I had my back injury. Obviously, I went a different direction, and a few years later, I was in show business, you know, doing high kicks and lots of other crazy things that allowed me to move very freely. And it was a lifetime search for me to figure out how did I know to do that, number one, and what did I do, number two. Now, number two, I'm not sure I'll ever be able to answer, just like I had a neurologist in one of my trainings one time, wonderful gentleman, who in the middle of the training, he said, you know, neurologists, they think they know everything about the brain and they know how all this stuff works. And he says, the truth is, we really don't have a clue. And I have a feeling that if most people are honest, you know, we can talk about how things work, but do we really know what happens? Because I keep getting new information about things that I used to think I understood how they worked. And, you know, your beliefs hopefully evolve through time, as mine definitely have. And that's why I keep doing additional training. And one of my favorite people since I started hypnotherapy 28 years ago almost, out in California, was someone who was on the board of directors at the American Board of Hypnotherapy where I started. And he was teaching at the seminars there, at the conferences, and I would go and I read his bio and I said, what is a professor of cellular biology doing at a hypnosis conference? I didn't quite understand that. And yet it was another piece in the picture of what was happening when I cured myself of my back injury, evidently. And his name, you may all know it now. He hadn't written a book yet then. I think he's got a couple of them out there now. But Bruce Lipton, who is a wonderful source of the science behind at least the cellular expression, or the inhibiting of expression in some cases, inside of the body. So I encourage you to look at the science, because when we get a client that comes in as a referral from a doctor, from a physician, from a mental health person, wherever it's being referred by, they're coming in with the set of the diagnoses and things that they have been given from that type of medicine. And the nice thing about what we do that I enjoyed early on is that all those labels can come off, and hopefully they do come off to an extent when the person comes in. One of the limitations I see with students when I'm teaching these things is that someone will express a problem, a condition, a disease, a syndrome, whatever, and they immediately find a connection in themselves or their family or someone they knew that had that same thing. And I encourage you to do a lot of work. To me, the work is about ourselves, getting ourselves in the right state to facilitate, to be the facilitator for that person to go inside and create the healing, or find the source of what is inhibiting the healing, or maybe all of the above. So to find a way to clear yourself when you're working with a client of your own experience, of your own opinion, and to really listen to the client. I spent a lot of time in my trainings on listening skills, because it's challenging for most humans to listen and get the judgment and the opinion and what I call the color off of what you're hearing, and to really see what I call the subtext, kind of from the show business days. But it's the meaning behind the words. And when a client is talking in the very first interview, the intake, to me is the most absolutely important part of working with medical conditions, because that's when they give you all of the clues that are going to be beyond the labels, as I call it. It's going to be what's really happening with them and how are they experiencing it right now. And then, of course, we help them develop outcomes, well-formed outcomes and things like that, so that we can start moving them in a different direction. Because obviously, if they're coming to a hypnotherapist, they've probably been going in a direction they're not 100% happy with at the very least. So part of what I want to do today, actually what I really want to do is tell you everything I ever learned in 27 plus years of studying this. I guess that's not possible. But in the 3 hours, my plan is about 11:30 to take a little break. I'll be watching the clock. So at some point when it's appropriate, when it's a good time to do it, we'll be all taking a little break then. Until then, my goal in this short time we have is to give you an overview and some of the basics, and to touch on some things that I really think are important about medical hypnosis. And the first thing, of course, would be a question I get a lot: how is medical hypnosis or hypnotherapy, how is that different from regular hypnosis, or what the other kind of hypnosis that's done without the referrals for the diagnosis? And that is the difference. It really, you can learn a lot of specific things for specific conditions, diseases, syndromes, etc. And yet, what we're doing in the hypnotic process is really the same. And that doesn't mean that it's exactly the same or easy or anything like that. It just means that what we're doing is facilitating that person going within themselves to discover what they need in order to heal. I'm going to go over a little bit later some of the language that we can use, and some of the language that, in most places, at least that I'm aware of, we want to avoid or stay away from. And as hypnotherapists, unless you are a medical professional that can use those kinds of things, and if so, you already know what your limitations are, or what your ability is to go beyond what a hypnotherapist could do, or a hypnotist who isn't a licensed medical professional. So I'm going to assume that most of you out there already know that. And since we have people from other countries, of course, I teach in Florida, so I know the laws here very well. And most of the United States, we do require a referral. I think all of them actually require a referral to work with a medical issue. And I would get one anyway. We'll talk about that a little bit maybe later. And yet each city, each county, sometimes in each area, even in the United States, sometimes requires different licensing. So that's one of the things you want to be aware of. In the handout, I've got some more development of some of these ideas, because it's quite an extensive handout that you'll get on the thumb drive. And yet I do want to touch on some of these things. So the main thing that I love about getting a referral, of course, is now I've got a doctor's name, I've got a contact in a doctor's office, and my intake form, the consent and release, which hopefully all of you are using. I know IACT and IMDHA have samples of all these things on their websites, so I'm guessing most of you, if not all of you, are members, and you can get on the websites and find that. If not, you can contact me or anyone in the group and probably get some generic copies of those things. But you always want to have a consent and release. If you're not a licensed, again, professional, then you've got your own set of paperwork you're going to be doing. But assuming this is for hypnotists. So